Hello and welcome. I'm Angela from Stampin' Beauty in Christchurch, New Zealand, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I created this card for the Hop Abroad Design Team Instagram hop. I'll pop a link below so you can pop over to Instagram and take the hop. To start with, I've just got a basic white card base and I'm using the thicker cardstock just because it's quite heavy with the pieces on the front, so it makes it nice and sturdy when you've got those pieces on it. And then the next layer is this layer here that I've popped a blended background on. So I've just got a bit of scrap paper here, and this is a piece of the Fluid 100 cardstock. And just so it doesn't move, I'm just going to put a bit of Stampin' Seal on there and just pop that on there. And I'm using Bubble Bath, so open that up, and my blending brush. It does use quite a lot of ink, so sometimes it just pay to either re-ink your stamp pad or just pop some ink in here. This piece of cardstock here is slightly bigger than here because when you blend you end up sort of getting quite dark edges, and I find I like to just trim that off once I've done the blending. I'll show you when we get to that point. So, and also what's quite good too is just to get a bit of cardstock or paper and just pop your hand so that the oils from your fingers don't get onto here. So just work your way round. It's going to take quite a bit to build up that colour because this is you know, such a creamy colour. Quite often when I'm doing blending I'll start with a piece of the actual coloured cardstock and add the colour, but I just decided to use the Fluid 100 because it does absorb colour really well. So I just want to get that sort of oval shape in the middle. It's going to take quite a while, so if you want, just speed me up if you're doing it along with me, then that's fine too, just whatever. So another thing you can do too, just to speed things up with getting that colour on, is just pop some ink in here. It is such a light colour. Just got to blend it into the blending brush just so that you don't get any clumps of colour coming out. It does pay to be patient and just build it up slowly. I have been known to rush it and then ended up getting blobs, although sometimes you can manage to hide it with an embellishment or a bit of ribbon or something. Starting to take shape now. Keep on adding more into here. It's just, it is because it's a light colour. This takes it a bit longer. See what I mean? I will be able to when I trim some off. Just take a bit of that off. But also just allow it time to blend in or dry, because it does soak into the paper, and as it soaks it sort of does give a different look. You can be quite vigorous with going over it. I just want to get sort of that more oval shape, so I'll just and once you get your image on there too, that does help too, to break up that background. That's probably enough. That doesn't look too bad on your screen. Right, so I'll just set that aside for a little bit, just to have a bit of time to soak in. Get that out of the way. And then the next thing I want to do is fussy cut this image here. So it is a reasonably large image to fussy cut and quite intricate. If you would rather use a smaller image or something that has less fussy bits to go around, then by all means use one of those, or even a Stampin' image and cut it. Sorry, that noise, if you can hear that, is the cat. She's just decided to get on the other desk. Not quite sure what she's up to. So just takes a little bit of patience. And just move around as you go, and there's such pretty images on this paper, and the colours are lovely. So, and of course this is the Flight and Airy Designer Series paper. It is a free Sale-A-Bration paper. So here in New Zealand, if you spend $110, you can pick this up for free. That's one of your options, and of course there are other options to choose from too. So some parts are a little bit tricky to get into. Just want to be careful you don't end up snipping through a branch. But even if you do that, I have been known to do something like that before, and I've just adhered the two pieces onto the card and then just buttered them up close enough that you can't see that there's been a little bit of a mishap. I probably should have timed this to see how long it takes, but I'm sure it doesn't really take too long. If you don't want to see me doing this, this is another time you can push that fast forward key. Oh no, now she's eyeing up my desk to jump up. Maybe there's some sort of bug in the room that she's got her eye on. Something's flown in. And even if you're doing something like this and you decide you don't want those bits there, just chop them off. You don't have to include those if that's too much too much fussy cutting to get in around those. You can just chop them straight off. So as everyone, I hope everyone had a lovely Christmas and is back after having a bit of a break. It's summer holidays here, so it's beautiful. We've had some fabulous warm weather. Been having my lunch outside and my morning and afternoon tea. It's lovely. And don't worry when you're fussy cutting, if you know, it doesn't have to be too even, or you know, sometimes I get a bit close, other times it's a little bit further away. I don't worry too much. Nobody's going to, or hopefully not, look at your card and start judging your fussy cutting. People, we see the mistakes we make, but other people don't. They just see it for what it is, a lovely piece of art. So yes, it is quite intricate. You definitely could cut a few of those branches off if you didn't want to include them. And also with the background, you could choose one of the other colours that are in this image. I'm not sure of the colours exactly, but there's fresh freesia in here, and it looks like soft sea foam, and those would make lovely backgrounds. Or you could do something more vibrant. I like that softer look. And there are, as I said too earlier, there are other images that you could choose that aren't so intricate. Or you could choose some, you know, 2 or 3 smaller ones and just pop them on together. Or just stamp and die cut something you like. But just that, with that lovely blended background, just is a nice backdrop for anything. It would be quite the die, wouldn't it, if it was to go around something like this. It would be very intricate. And you don't have to go in every nook and cranny either. That can weaken, like going in here even, that's quite, makes it quite floppy. There's not much holding it together. Just the last little bit here now, so it's good. To make a mistake now. It'd be a shame, wouldn't it, got this far. It's like when you peel an orange or something and you're trying to do it in one go. Or the minty wrappers, excuse me, that's what we used to do as a kid, try and get them as long. It was always a fun game, wasn't it? Try and get the longest ripped wrapper. I don't suppose they play those at kids' parties anymore. Right, and that is that. So it is a lovely, lovely image, and you could get in there if you wanted to do those, but I don't think that's too necessary. So the next thing I'll just do, so we're done with that, is do the sentiment. And this is just the happy birthday from the Darling Details stamp set. So I'll just emboss that. Use my embossing buddy. And Versamark. Stamp that on there. It's nice and juicy. Good coverage of that. And then I'll just heat set this, won't be a moment. As if we hadn't had enough fussy cutting, so just a little bit more. You could just die cut this if you have a die for that. That works for this, but I didn't really want to cover up too much of that bird, so I've gone to all the trouble of fussy cutting it. After that flower and bird, anything's easy really. Right, so that's that. And now it's a matter of popping things a little bit together. Oh, and also I've got these dies here. These are from the Textured Floral set. So there are 4 of these. I've gone ahead and die cut 3 of them already. So I just need a small piece of vellum. And I always like to go through that way and then back again. Oopsie. Just with something that's so intricate as this, then it makes sure you get a better result. Just want to be careful taking that out that it doesn't rip. Right, so I've got those. So the next thing, so this is the blended background, and I just want to trim that down. So I just want to trim it down by half a centimetre, I think. So I'll just take off a little bit off that side. That side, and I'll just check that that is the, yes, so just half, and then so same here a little bit. And you need really sharp blades for this because this paper being a bit thicker, this cardstock. So that just gets rid of those edges that can be a little bit darker. I just tend to run my finger, run it along there just to smooth down those, if there are any jagged bits. Right, now we'll pop it together. So I've got my card base and going to pop dimensionals on the back of this. And just trying to work out, I've got that bit of a blob there, so I think I'll try and hopefully get a bit of coverage that way. And another thing I did is popped some, flicked some water on it using my water painter. Let's get that nice and even. And even flicking some ink, some of the bubble bath ink, it can just, you know, hide some of those little issues. So that will just sort of lift some of the ink as it dries. So it just depends if you like that look or not. So this is going to go here. Those edges are still a bit rough along there. And then I just want to pop these, tuck these under here. So I'll just sort of work out roughly where I want to place those. About there. So I'll just lift that up. And probably glue dots might be just an easy way of getting those down. Just check. In actual fact, no, I'm just going to leave that there like that. And what I'll do is put dimensionals on the back of here, and then when I pop it down, if I'm careful, it will just sit straight on top and hopefully be enough of a hold to keep that in place. See how that goes. So I'll just because of that, I want to get as many as I can onto here, so I've got good coverage. And you sort of need it with this anyway, with these pieces, because you want them to have plenty of support. So even little half of the mini dimensionals help. Those smaller pieces, and then I've got some bigger dimensionals. Coming unstuck, sticking to me. As I want to get really good coverage of this. And some more. Those little half ones, just pop those in up there. So I think that looks reasonably well covered. So take all those backs off. That's always a problem when you use so many dimensionals. There's all these backings to take off. I know some people colour them so that you can see which ones you've taken the backs off and which you haven't. I should do that. That's probably quite a good wee TV job to do. Sitting if I have to get to sit down on it in an evening. But what I often do if I'm not sure if I've got all the backs off, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in this light, but I often just angle it again. I've got a window in here and I just so I can see if it's shiny or not, whether it's, I've taken it off. So I'll bring that down here, and then I want to, oops, don't want to do that, put it about where I want it, and then just drop it down and give it a good press, and hopefully, I think that's got those all well stuck down, so that has worked really well. And I like that these, I like this because I feel like that's sort of more like it would be in nature, they're not stuck down. So then what I want to do, lost my sentiment, is do a little bow, and on this one I just did a little tammy bow, just a really small one. So that's just, hold that enough of a tail, then loop that there, so just a smallish loop, another smallish loop, hopefully about the same size. Oops. Just pop it around that finger just to hold it in place, another loop. This does have a tendency to have a mind of its own, but once you've got it down, you can sort of play around with it and hopefully get it in place. Then just trim that off. See, just bring that around, and then I just want to pop that and through that, oh, start again. So I've got that loop going around there, and then pop it up through that loop, and then give it a really good tug. So I've got 2 loops at the top, 2 loops at the bottom. As you can see, it really does have a mind of its own. Just pop them over one finger just to try and get them evened up. Too bad. Right, so now I will use a glue dot. Pop that down where I want that to be, so about here. Then pop that on there, and then once you've got it on there, that's quite good because you can sort of play around with it a bit on that glue dot. Sort of press into it, it will hopefully, it will stay in. So it just gives a little bit more volume when you've got 2 of them rather than just one loop. And then I'm going to stick this over top, which will help keep those loops down. And I'll just use a couple of the small ones. I'm just going to pop one there and one here. Hopefully I've popped them in the right place. And then I'm just going to line that up, get it hopefully nice and straight, and then just pop that on there. I think this loop, these have worked out a bit better than my other one. So I still want that a little bit longer. Just maybe a little bit shorter. Just try and get them reasonably even. And then lastly, I've got these gorgeous iridescent pearls, the basic jewels. And I will put the lid on that before I stab myself. And I'm just going to add 3 of these. So I'll just get a large one to go down there, a small one to go up here, and then another smaller one tuck that over here. See? And that is my card made. So that wasn't too bad, half an hour to get that made. So there's the other one. So as you can see, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a little bit uneven or you have a few little darker spots or whatever, because once you've got your bits and pieces on, it gets well hidden. So thanks very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye for now.